My girlfriend and I are from Ontario, Canada. We both attended a university there and decided to take a trip through the United States to celebrate our graduation. Our destination was Miami, Florida. Her family owns a condo near the beach, so we had a free place to stay. We decided to drive instead of fly because we wanted to see a bit of the country on the way down and visit a few friends. The trip usually takes about 20 to 24 hours by car non-stop, and we were planning on making multiple stops. The first part of the road trip was a wonderful experience. We went shopping in Buffalo, then made our way down to Pittsburgh and managed to catch a Pirates game. However, once we hit West Virginia, things changed. It was nothing but endless wilderness and a few small towns sprinkled in between. We had plans to meet up with some friends for dinner in North Carolina, so we wanted to get through West Virginia as soon as possible. We only made stops when we absolutely had to. We ended up stopping for gas at a pretty remote spot. My girlfriend and I got out of the car. I started pumping gas and she went inside to use the washroom and pick up some snacks. My tank was about half full when I heard a voice behind me ask, "Y'all lost?" I looked behind me and saw a middle-aged white man with long, messy brown hair that reached down to his shoulders and an unkempt beard with dashes of grays and what looked to be drops of dried up mucus. His clothes were torn up and dirty, and he smelled like a mixture of bear, sweat, pee, and feces. He was a little overweight but pretty tall. I'm 6 feet. He was about 4 inches taller than me. The teeth he still had left were yellowish brown. On his right cheek, just under his eye, was a tattoo of some kind of pentagram. Pretty into YouTube videos about true crime and cults, so I was able to recognize what it was pretty quickly. He was standing very close to my face to the point where the smell of his breath was making me dizzy, so I backed up. "No, sir, just passing through," I said nervously. "Not too often we see tourists passing through these parts," he responded. "Where y'all headed?" As he said this, he moved even closer. Then he was before. I had my back up against my car and I couldn't move back any further. I wanted to get away from this guy as quickly as possible, but the car was still filling up with gas and my girlfriend was still inside the gas station. Didn't want this dude to know where we were really going, so I told him I was visiting family in Kentucky and they were expecting us. After I said this, he cracked a weird half smile, opened his mouth just wide enough for me to get a look at his teeth again. I'll never forget that face. His bloodshot eyes were staring deep into my soul. He let out a weird and sinister laugh. "How lovely," he said. "I'll see you kids around." Then he walked away. I was very relieved that he walked away, but also terrified by his last remarks. I didn't even see him when we pulled up to the gas station, so how did he know I wasn't alone? I figured he must have been watching my girlfriend and I when we arrived. The car was finally filled up and I saw my girlfriend walking toward the car with bags full of snacks for the road. I noticed the weird guy was still at the gas station. He was a few pumps away from us, leaning up against an old red pickup truck, but to my utter discomfort, he wasn't alone. There were 2 other men and 1 woman with him, making the group 4 in total. The 2 men were just as big as he was, but they had shaved heads. One of them was wearing a dirty white tank top and the other had no shirt on at all. The woman was shorter, about 5'5". She was very skinny with heavy bags under her eyes and long blonde hair. They all looked like they had been living in the woods for the past 10 years. They were staring and pointing at us, talking amongst themselves. As soon as my girlfriend got to the car, I told her to get in. I'm usually a pretty calm guy, so when my girlfriend noticed I was kind of freaking out, she knew something was up. We quickly entered the car. I locked the doors and I began hauling ass out of the gas station. As we pulled around their red truck to exit, I noticed there was another pentagram painted on the hood. I also noticed the skull of a goat or ram on their windshield. The four people began getting into their truck as they saw us leaving. I knew they were going to follow us as soon as we left. I explained the situation to my girlfriend as we were speeding away from the gas station. We were zooming down the road, and I looked in my rearview mirror as I expected the red truck was right behind us. I sped up even more, and they did too. I made a left. They did too. I made a full U-turn, and they did as well. My girlfriend managed to get reception and dial 911. We gave the operator our location, and they gave us directions to the nearest police station. The operator also asked for the license plate, but the truck didn't have any. Once we were off the phone with them, my girlfriend stuck her cell phone outside of the window and started pointing to it, letting the creeps know we called the police. They finally got the message and stopped following us. We arrived to the police station and filled out a report. We gave them the description of the truck and the suspects. The investigators said they would call us if they had any more information. We were extremely shaken but also relieved. All we wanted to do at the point was get the hell out of West Virginia. We thought we had shaken the group for good, but unfortunately we were wrong. We decided to drive through the night to cover as much ground as possible. The area of the Appalachia we were in had no street lights, and I could only see what my headlights allowed me to see. Everything was fine until I noticed two headlights in my rearview mirror. At first, I didn't think anything of it, but I kept an eye on them. The headlights got closer and closer until they were tailgating us. To my complete shock and horror, it was the same red truck from the gas station. These people had somehow found us again and were right behind us. "It's them," I yelled. My girlfriend began to freak out and I dialed 911. I floored the gas pedal, not even knowing what was 10 meters in front of me. All we cared about was escaping. We got a mile up the road until my girlfriend yelled, "Watch out." There were 3 dead cows blocking the narrow road. I slammed on the brakes. The red truck was right behind us. We couldn't go forward. We knew we fell into a trap. All of a sudden, a naked man wearing a goat mask darted from out of the woods and began hitting our car with what looked like a large axe. The naked man got on the hood of our car and started making sheep noises. My girlfriend was still on the phone with 911, but all she could do was scream. The people behind us got out of the red truck and began walking toward our car. 2 of them had rifles and 1 of them had a large machete. I knew what I had to do. I put the car into reverse and floored it. The naked man fell off our car. We smashed into a truck and I managed to knock it into a ditch. After the truck was out of the way, I pulled the fastest U-turn of my life and we got out of there. The people were yelling all kinds of things at us as we drove away. I drove as fast as I could away from these people until we finally arrived in the town and filed another police report. My girlfriend and I were uninjured, thankfully, but we were extremely traumatized. The car was still drivable after that, so we were able to get the fuck out of West Virginia the next morning. This entire experience made my girlfriend and I scared to do any more road trips. I still call the local police department in West Virginia once in a while to see if they have any leads on these people, but so far they have not found anything. The fact is, these people were able to find us after we went to the police station and drove far away still scares and baffles me to this day. Who knows what kind of sick and twisted things this Cole had planned and if they managed to catch us. Stay safe out there, everyone. I got out of prison 2 months ago, and I was offered one of 2 halfway houses by the local council, one in the city and one in the countryside near the coast. I liked the idea of the countryside/coast better than the city since old habits die hard, and I thought the further away from temptation I am, the better. I pictured myself sunning by the beach and relaxing in a little holiday house. Ha! So I found myself in this rundown old cottage in the middle of fucking nowhere, stuck there with two big Polish skinheads who just got out for GHB. The skinheads were assholes, but I'm probably an asshole too. Anyway, we didn't talk. They took over one end of the cottage and I was in the other. They played loud music and smoked weed all day. At least I have a job. They're gone now, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The dickhead from the council who was supposed to check up on me once a week hasn't even shown his face. It's bloody freezing. There's no heating and the roof leaks. I have no furniture and I'm hungry and miserable. This creepy fucking view is what I get to look at over the back garden wall. So a week ago, about 7 caravans and trailers, some big vans and a bunch of shitty old cars turned up in this field and took up residence. I assumed Irish gypsies or maybe regular old travelers, which I would have welcomed both, to be honest, as would have been a bit company, but no. What we had here was a regular fucking satanic cult. Oh, you think I'm exaggerating? Well, dear Rita, let me enlighten you. The people that came out of the caravans were a mixture of white and black. They set up a big tent like a circus. The first day, I heard all kinds of weird music coming from inside. That's what I thought. Born-again Christians. That was until I saw a few blokes wandering around in white gowns and weird hats. Odd, I thought. KKK have come to town. But they had black fellas with them. That didn't make much sense. So the second night, it all kicks off. There's a big bonfire, and these bastards all come out of their caravans and start dancing in these crazy outfits. Not just the KKK robes. Some of the black guys were wearing masks. Others had these big, I don't know how the hell to describe them, like palm tree hats. And there was one fella wearing what I can only call a goat's head. It was just that, a goat's head, cut off and worn like a goddamn hat. So I snuck out of the house over the garden wall and got as close as I could to take photos. Snapped a few photos and headed home. Anyway, it's Friday and I wake up feeling weirded out. The partying went on into the small hours and I hadn't had much sleep. I didn't dare put on any lights in my room in case they found out someone lived here. To be fair, from the outside I'd be amazed anyone lived there. So I went looking for the Polish guy to see what they made of it. What did they make of it? I don't know, because they were gone. Their stuff was still there, and about a ton of weight of unused weed and a few crates of stolen beer, but no Polish skinheads. They had their own back door on that side of the cottage, leaning into the kitchen only. They used it, and I noticed its stove was on. The lock's all smashed too, and the window's broken. There's glass on the floor inside the kitchen, and there's a big footprint on the outside. Did the Polish guys get pissed off? Did they think I stole their booze? I don't know. Well, I didn't like those Polish guys, but I was damned if I was going to let them become Satan's next sacrifice. So I snuck out the back again, over the wall, and made for the campsite. It was deserted. Nobody there. I snuck into the big tent. It was empty. But there were weird red stains on the floor, and a massive pentagram made with melted candles like tea lights all close together to make lines. Nobody at home though, so I snuck around the caravans, and that's when I found a black bomber jacket. Both the skinheads wore these. One of them was torn inside and missing a sleeve. Bad news. I checked the door handle on one of the caravans, the biggest on the site. It was locked. I let myself in anyway. What can I say? I had practice at this. The caravan inside was like something out of a movie. Books, pictures, little carved wooden things, dolls and shit. I knew I was going to post a couple pictures as soon as I got out of here. I didn't take the pictures of the caravan interior. I will, but not yet. I wasn't supposed to be here. Let's remember, the pics I did take could have been anywhere. I've been held up ever since, and things have gotten a lot stranger since. I can't put it all down now because this new phone is running out of juice. I need to go out and get more credit too, but I have to tell you about what happened this morning, and I still have to tell you what I think happened to the Polish. Phone's nearly out of juice just to say. They know I'm here. They're fucking with my head. I don't know what'll happen to me, but I doubt it will be good. And for the Polish guys, I really don't think they're alive anymore. On the evening of February 8th, 1980, 20-year-old sex worker Karen Martinson was sobbing in a police car. The officers who'd picked her up wanted her to take them to the sites of satanic rituals she'd claimed to have attended in the woods near Fall River, Massachusetts, but she was panicked and incoherent. She claimed that her pimp, who she referred to as Satan, would kill her if he found out she'd been talking to the police. She asked them to drop her off at St. Mary's Church so she could talk to a priest. The officers left her at the door. 2 months later, part of her skull and other remains were found in the forest outside of town. Most of her body was never recovered. Martinson's death was one of 3 so-called satanic cult killings that occurred in late 1979 and early 1980 in Fall River, a historic mill city notorious for the axe murders of Lizzie Borden's father and stepmother. 2 locals were convicted in Martinson's killing. Carl Drew, the pimp, Madison said was Satan, and Robin Murphy, a 17-year-old who law enforcement said was a fearsome pimp in her own right and a competitor of Drew's.